Welcome to this second film about sails. Part 1 discussed issues like how to know when you need a new sail. If it has a belly that won't go away, usually further aft, it's going to need replacing. A worn sail will lose your drive and increase your heel. We went through picking the right cloth and the whole process of getting a sail designed and fitted on a boat. We use Precision Sails, who are based in Canada but are able to deliver sails around the world. You're able to talk directly to a designer on a Zoom call to make sure you're getting what you need. That first video focused on our new foresail, a high-cut Yankee. We had that sail delivered to Montenegro last year and we're very happy with the results. Look at this, if I put it in, so we're completely close hauled. It's slightly bigger than the last one and you can see beautifully shaped, so it just comes in really close to the spreaders there. Going to get the maximum out of that. So we went ahead and ordered a staysail and a mainsail. They were delivered to Gibraltar last month. So do watch that first video to see the whole process. And also take a look at your rig tuning, as you're not going to get the full potential from new sails with a badly tuned rig. Okay, so it's fully up the top, so this one is B, yes, on the form? B, which is from the top swivel to the bottom swivel, so you're just following what they've got in their diagrams. And this one is... As with the Yankee, the first step was measuring up. And, no, sorry, 12 metres, 24. So it would have been better to have a slightly less blustery day. Alright, so lastly then, the luff tape size. I'll get the calipers on this. It's always a tricky one to do, I think. So it's coming up as the old one is 5.2, 5.3. But then to get the actual size in here, so just try and put a drill bit up, and it'll take us 6.5 with a little bit of slack. In fact, it would probably take us 7mm if I could actually get it in this bottom slot, but it won't actually go through there to go in. We also sent some pictures to Precision. It's good to have something with the sails up, and for the mainsail, some close-ups of fittings. Precision will guide you through what they need. Once they have all the details, an online consultation will give them a chance to ask for any more information they may need, and you a chance to talk about any specific wants and answer any questions.
Yours is still going to a track, but because we're going to be expecting a little bit flatter of a sheeting position than normal, then if you are finding trouble with the leech closing, all you need to do is readjust your jib sheet line from the center further up, and then as you position it further up, it'll pull harder down on the leech. Also, as sails age, they need to be trimmed differently. So if you do have a fixed position, then it might mean that over the course of the life of the sail, you just need to adjust it up by one position. You get better sheeting. Yeah. But yeah, very, very common for us to be putting these onto our stay sails nowadays. Just really versatile pieces of equipment.
Yeah, looks great. Precision are also interested in what sort of sailing you will be doing to design a sail that's right for you. We want a sail that has great shape, of course, but it needs to be robust.
We custom design every single sail for every boat, and more importantly, every sailor. So a boat in San Francisco Bay, a Catalina 30 in San Francisco Bay would have a different sail design than that same Catalina 30 in the Chesapeake Bay. It's different wind conditions, it's different sailing conditions, and probably different sailors. And so we try to build the sail and design the sail so that the sailor gets the most enjoyment out of it.
We knew our mainsail's days were numbered, but a storm on the way to Malta finished it off. So the whole process of getting a new sail had to be done en route through the Med before we hit the Atlantic Ocean. So the measuring happened in Valletta Harbour, the consultation in an anchorage in Sardinia, and by the time we got Gibraltar, our sails were on the dock. There you go, that's our staysail. Yeah, underneath. So look, hands all rolled up inside. That's pretty cool. So let's give you some nice patches. So it's repair stuff, and I'm going to put some extra bits on the chafe points where the battens go through as well, I think. But yeah, We had given Precision the details of our mainsail cars. They were in good condition, so the cheapest thing for us to do was reuse them on the new sail. So first job with the mainsail is to fit the batten receptacles. So I've taken them off the old sail. They look like that basically. There's a bit that slots in either side and that goes around the sail fabric. So you just have to, on each of the battens, we've got 5, put this on first, just get out over the boat rope, push it on. It's pretty tight because it's well reinforced, this one, and then fit the shells either side and drill some holes through. That was interesting. A guy just came past and asked me, did the sail makers put these on for us? They're the intermediate bits, so the bits sort of between where the cars go. You have these, and yeah, obviously they are there. Precision do them, but obviously not everyone does, because he said he had to sew his own, so he was quite impressed that they're already on. And they've been quite difficult to sew because it's double skinned, and yeah, must be very strong. So yeah, glad Precision did them. So I really like this setup with the battens from Precision. It's really important to have a good setup with battens, because if they start coming loose, they can stop you dropping the mainsail, especially if they sort of come out of the receptacle at the front there and go forward of the mast. So you want them to be secure, and you want them to stay where you set them as well. The problem we had with our old setup was that it was just Velcro, and that just tends to weaken over time, and they stretch out, and it just doesn't hold them in far enough. And now when that happens, this starts coming back beyond the leach of the sail, and it catches on the lazy jacks as you're trying to lift it up. So I like to have really good secure fittings for the battens, and that's what we've got here on the one from Precision. I really like this system, but actually when I put it together, first of all, I actually did it wrong. So luckily I sent the video off to the experts, off to Ron, and he spotted it as a little mistake. So what you've got to do is this: the flap here does not go over the top. What you do is you feed the little line through and pull it through completely like that, and then tie it off. So it's just a better system. It means you can pull it a little bit harder and it's not going to come up against that bit of webbing. So now you can pull it and get as much bend in as you want. So yeah, let's tie it off, couple of turns, and then you've got this little bit of Velcro flap that just goes over, just to protect everything from the sun and from chafe and anything else, so it's not going to get damaged in there. And as Jeremy told us in the consultation we had beforehand, it gives you the opportunity to tweak the battens as well for different wind conditions.
And the nice part about it is that you can adjust it depending on what the winds are. So if you're going to be running in particularly light winds for the next little bit, and you want to induce more sail shape so that your sail's not constantly having to reinitialize, you can then pull harder on the little dynamo line here, more shape into the sails and support the batten better.
Jeremy also explained the head attachment without the old large headboard. It's a much neater design.
So this is a maxi ring. It has a safe working load of about 10,000 pounds. So it's extremely durable. The pin of your head system will go through the V, and then your halyard will connect to the top.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just web on the bottom with spectral webbing to make sure it's really well secured and it's cut in. And then we can also, depending on what the system is, we can make sure that the ring is set further forward or further back.
Yeah.
This is a system with an antall system, so you can see that because the antall system sits in a different location, we can just adjust how the ring sits on the headboard or the head cord to be a little further forward in order to sit properly over the pin.
So we're happy we've got the best sails, but it also pays to make sure your standing rigging is set right. As it happens, we had fully re-rigged over the winter. Everything was set perfectly then, of course, but after a few months of sailing, a retension of the rig is vital. And of course, you'll want to regularly check your setup in any case. Okay, so time has come to do the retensioning of the rig. If you had seen the Rigging 101 video that we did in Montenegro when we re-rigged Fair Isle, that was 8 months ago now, and Jade, our rigger, said basically he'd sailed it for a season. He said, yeah, get to Gibraltar and then retension, and it's perfect for us because we're actually obviously putting the new sails on now, the new mainsail, the new staysail, and to do the retention you're going to be dropping the sails anyway to get to everything to do it, so it makes sense to do it all here. Perfect timing. So basically what we've got to do for that is tension all of these up 1 millimeter for every meter length. Doesn't matter on the size of the wire, they're all going to stretch by about that much. That's their initial stretch, and then they're not really going to stretch anything after that. So yeah, things like this one, which is the cap shroud, going to stretch quite a bit. So I'll put them up on screen here so you can see them better. You can see I've marked all the stays and the shrouds, basically written next to them their length, and I've measured with the calipers the distance between the bottle screws. So basically, you just take the gauge and do it to open it out like that to see exactly the gap between the ends of the bottle screws, and I write that down, and then basically I can just do that calculation. So for this headstay here, it's 18 meters long, so it's going to have stretched by 18 millimeters. So I've got to take 18 millimeter off what it was, its figure, and its figure was 89. There was 89 millimeters between the two, so that needs to come down to 71. So I've taken 18 millimeters off of that. I've tightened it by 18 millimeters. So basically, I mean, you can sort of do it really any way you want to do the head stays first and then the back stay, or do the shrouds first, but sort of do them one at a time. I'm going to do head stays, back stays first, and then come around and do all the shrouds, and I'll do them bit by bit and work from the top down. I mean, on this I can do it all from the bottom, so it's quite good. Don't have to go up the mast to do any tightening. There's no diamonds and stuff like that on this rig, so it's reasonably easy. So I'll go through it all, keep sighting up the mast as we do it. I mean, it's good that we've got the mainsail off, and actually there's no wind today as well, so there's a little bit of wind. It's moving around a little bit. You can see should be about 30 mil from the end there, so that's here, and you can see at the moment it's not. It's about 20, so I mean that makes sense because I wasn't pointing that well. I was putting it all down to the mainsail, but actually it's probably partly to do with that as well. So we'll get that back in line, which is a little bit more on the rake, and actually sighting up the mast. If I pull in tight the string that I've got there, it doesn't look like there's enough pre-bend. There's not much of a gap between it. It's probably 2 inches, and it looks like it's sort of right at the top, so I need a bit more of a bend lower down, a pre-bend in it really, so probably a bit tighter on the inner forestay will give me that. So yeah, I'll fiddle around with them and just keep an eye on the mast, make sure it's in column the whole time. Hopefully the wind will die down completely this evening and make this job a little bit easier. We opted for the bronze adjuster on the Furlex unit we fitted over the winter. This makes adjusting the forestay tension very easy and doesn't affect the position of the Yankee. The drum stays at the same height. So I didn't tighten the forestay the whole way because I want to get the rake a little bit further back, so I'll come in and do the back stay now. I've had to lift all the gubbins up here so I can get to the bottle screw. But yeah, let's get this done to its 20 mil tighter than it was before. That's what it needs. Alright, so I did go around all the bottle screws yesterday with some 3-in-1, some light oil, just to run down there to make things easy when you adjust this. But now I'm going to be tightening them up onto the exposed thread here. I'll put a bit of grease on that before I do it, so it can go up over the grease and then tighten them up. Obviously it's important to hold the stay in position and turn the bottle screw. You don't want to be introducing a twist in the stay. Okay, going by my figures, they're about right now, so I'll give them a bit of a clean up, turn them so they're in the right direction to get the split pins through, and put them back in. But I won't do it yet because I want to do a final check either tonight if there's no wind, or more likely tomorrow morning, so I can do the sort of sighting up the mast with my plumb bob there and see if that's right. But I do still have to do the inner forestay, so we'll have a little look at that and just pull it so I've got the right amount of pre-bend in the mast. Right, so as you can see, this one's a little bit more difficult than the new nice Selden one. It hasn't got that bronze adjuster in here. I've just had to undo everything at the bottom here and hope that it'll swivel in the middle. Sometimes they just don't, and you don't want to be winding up the forestay. So yeah, I mean, hopefully it's new. It's all been put in there, re-greased obviously when we did it just a few months ago, so you know, it should be okay to do it. Once it's been left for a while, you probably won't be able to adjust this, but I've got to do this one by 16mm, so I've marked it with the red tape there. Got to take up all that, and it should be okay. See if it can do it. Hold this stay and turn this one. We're going on the fact that Jade set up the rig perfectly over the winter, and we know how much the wires would have stretched. Do keep constantly checking that you're not introducing any funky bends into the mast though, and if you have a keel step mast, you'll have to remove the chocks at the partners while you tune the rig. I did do this in stages and check the mast as I went. Once you get what you need, just lock things back, re-grease and do your final checks. Okay, we've got a nice windless morning. Unfortunately we've got a little bit of swell coming in, so it's not completely static, my plumb bob here. But you can see it's settling around here and my line is here. So it certainly needs a little bit more rake on it. Also seems like it settles a little bit out to starboard, so it looks like the head of the mast is a little bit to starboard, so I can put a little bit more on the port shrouds, the cap shroud especially, to try and pull the head over a little bit. So yeah, I do need to put a bit more rake on, and I didn't tighten the forestay to its full amount, the amount that we think it would stretch by, which was about 20mm. I only did it about 10mm, knowing that I would probably be doing the backstay a bit more to get a little bit more rake in this, and that obviously by pulling the mast head back will put a little bit more tension on the forestay, so that should get to its 15% of braking strain, which is where it needs to be. It's all a bit of guesswork obviously, but you know, it's just the way it is. That's why, you know, really having a good rigger that knows these things and can sort of feel them and knows from experience where they should be is always a good thing. So yeah, if you're doing it yourself, then you know, just try and get some good advice, as I did from Jade. So hopefully, yeah, I'll just do a little bit on this, bring that back to where I need it, which is here, and we should be good to go. Obviously, using a plumb bob in this way has the big issue of relying on the boat sitting level in the water. If you're floating with a bit of a list, then the mast will not be vertical, and it will show that way with the bob. But you want a mast that's perpendicular to the deck, so you can get caught out this way. Adjust now, and when the boat is level, the mast will be off. So Jade's method is to use the halyard to compare the mast head to tow rail distance to centre the mast. You can't guarantee the tow rails are completely symmetrical, of course, especially with a hand-built boat like Fair Isle, so I tend to do both. Okay, so we try and get a bit more on the backstay to get the rake as we want it. Of course, there are other variables in this. You could have something with the boat not sitting quite right in the water. It could be bowed down because you've got too much chain in your locker or something like that. Also, if you're on a lighter boat, obviously where you're standing is going to affect it as well. It doesn't really with Fair Isle, but you know, got to be aware of that. But yeah, I mean, get to know your boat. Have a look in the still mornings when you're in an anchorage, how she's sitting. Make sure you've got no odd loading problems, because obviously all that sort of stuff can affect this as well. Okay, let's have a little look at what that's done to us. If you take it all step by step, it's less daunting than it might appear at first, and there's nothing better than putting the split pins back in and the sails back up, knowing you're going to get the best out of your sails. So as ever, thanks for watching, and do please like and subscribe. It helps us out enormously. And if you got something out of this video, consider joining the crew on Patreon.